The night the illusion shattered began like any other, calm, beautiful, and deceptively ordinary. Maya stood before the mirror, adjusting her sapphire blue dress, the one her husband, Rohan, had bought her last year for their anniversary. It shimmered under the light like liquid twilight, graceful yet simple, just how he liked her to appear. The mirror reflected a woman who looked perfect. Gentle smile, flawless skin, and quiet eyes. But behind that reflection was exhaustion, the kind that comes not from work, but from pretending everything is fine. She heard laughter from the living room, Rohan's voice, loud and confident, echoing through the marble walls of their home. His friends had arrived early. They were his business partners, men who carried expensive watches, louder opinions, and a dangerous sense of entitlement. "Come on, Maya," Rohan called from the other room. "You're not going to hide up there all night, are you? My friends have been dying to meet the most beautiful woman in Delhi." The laughter that followed felt sharp. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and smiled. The same smile she had perfected over years of silence. When she stepped out, the men clapped mockingly. "There she is," one of them said. "The famous Mrs. Mehra." Rohan beamed with pride as if she were an ornament he owned. He placed a hand around her waist, firm, possessive. "Gentlemen," he said, "this is what keeps me sane in business chaos." The men laughed again, raising their glasses. Maya smiled politely, greeting them one by one, her heart sinking deeper with each handshake. They spoke about deals, profits, and vacations. But occasionally, their eyes would linger on her, not with respect, but appraisal. Rohan didn't seem to notice. Or worse, he didn't care. She excused herself to the kitchen to bring snacks, where she could breathe again. Her hands trembled as she poured drinks, but her face remained calm. She had trained herself well. From the living room, she could still hear their laughter. But this time, one of the men said something that made her freeze. "She's beautiful, Rohan. You're a lucky man. But tell me, does she only look good, or can she also keep us entertained?" Laughter. Glasses clinked, and then Rohan's voice, cold, careless. "Oh, you don't know Maya. She's perfect, elegant, obedient. She can do anything." The word obedient stabbed through her like a blade. She stood frozen behind the half-open door, her breath shallow. They were laughing again, louder this time. Another man said, "Well then, let's see that obedience, Rohan. Ask her to dance for us or something. Let's see how perfect she really is." Rohan's tone turned sharp, the one he used when he wanted control. "Careful, boys, don't tempt me. You might be surprised what my wife can do when I tell her to." The men roared in laughter. Maya felt her pulse thudding in her ears. Her fingers clenched around the tray so tightly that her knuckles turned white. For a brief moment, she thought of walking away, locking herself in the bedroom, or leaving the house altogether. But she couldn't. She was trapped in her own home, in her own life. Then, Rohan called her name. "Maya, come here, sweetheart." She took a deep breath and walked out, her face calm, her steps measured. When she entered the room, Rohan had that smirk, the one that always made her uneasy. He stood and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Maya, darling, my friends were just saying they'd love to see how charming you can be." She blinked slowly, unsure of what he meant, but deep down, she already knew. One of the men chuckled. "Come on, Mrs. Mehra, lighten up the mood. Show us why Rohan never leaves home unhappy." Her heart pounded, but she didn't speak. She only looked at Rohan, searching his face for mercy, but found only arrogance. He leaned closer, whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. "Maya, don't make me repeat myself. Take off your coat." The room fell silent. Every laugh, every breath vanished. She froze, not from fear, but disbelief. Rohan smiled, pretending it was a joke, but his eyes were commanding. "Maya, come on now," he said casually. "They just want to see how beautiful you look tonight." The men waited. The silence felt heavier than stone. Maya looked around, at the faces watching her, the judgment, the mockery. And then she looked at her husband, the man who once promised to protect her. Something inside her shifted. The fear that had chained her heart for years began to melt, replaced by something sharper, stronger. Slowly, Maya reached for the button of her coat. Rohan grinned, triumphant. His friends leaned forward, expecting entertainment. But Maya's expression was unreadable, her calmness almost unnerving. She slipped off her coat, and underneath, instead of vulnerability, There was power. Her dress wasn't revealing. It wasn't meant to be. But what she revealed was far more dangerous, the truth. Pinned to her chest was a small black microphone, blinking red. The men froze. Rohan's smile disappeared. Maya looked at him, her voice low but steady. You wanted entertainment, Rohan. So let's give them a show they'll never forget. The room was dead silent, except for the faint hum of the recording device. Rohan stammered, Maya, what is this? Her eyes met his, calm, composed, and fierce. It's everything you've said tonight, she whispered. Every insult, every threat, every word you thought no one would ever hear. You see, I finally got tired of being your decoration. Now I'm your evidence. His friend stood, shocked, muttering nervously. Maya stepped forward, voice trembling but strong. You think obedience is beauty? That silence is love? Not anymore. Not tonight. She looked at his friends, their faces pale. Gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed your drinks, because this party is over. And with that, she turned, her heels echoing on the marble floor, walking toward the door, leaving behind the broken shell of her so-called marriage. But outside that house, under the cold night sky, Maya's hands shook. Tears fell silently as she leaned against her car, gasping for breath. She wasn't sure what she had just done, but one thing was clear, she was done being silent, and this was only the beginning. The night wind bit against Maya's face as she sat inside her car, trembling. Her phone's screen glowed in the dark, showing the red dot that confirmed the recording was saved. Every cruel laugh, every humiliating word, captured. She stared at the house through the windshield. Inside, lights still blazed, and voices rose in anger. For the first time in years, those sounds didn't make her shrink. They made her breathe. When the first tear slid down her cheek, it wasn't from pain, it was from release. By sunrise, Maya had packed a single suitcase and left the house. She didn't slam doors or shout. She simply left, quietly, powerfully. The same silence that once trapped her now became her armor. At her friend Nisha's apartment, Maya sat at the kitchen table clutching a mug of tea. You really did it? Nisha whispered. Maya nodded. Everything's recorded. I don't know what comes next, but I can't go back. Nisha squeezed her hand. You don't have to. We'll go to the lawyer today. Later that afternoon, Maya met advocate Ritu Singh, a woman known for defending victims of emotional and domestic abuse. Ritu listened carefully as Maya explained, playing the audio on her phone. The laughter and arrogance in Rohan's voice filled the office. When the recording ended, Ritu leaned forward. Maya, this isn't just humiliation, it's psychological abuse. You have the right to be heard, and he has to face consequences. For the first time, Maya felt the word right belonged to her. Not his control, not his reputation, her right to dignity. Ritu drafted a notice and advised her to stay with trusted friends for safety. He'll try to manipulate you, she warned. Be ready. 3 days later, Rohan showed up outside Nisha's apartment. His face was pale, his arrogance cracked. Maya, listen, he said, forcing a smile. You misunderstood, I was joking. My friends, they were drunk. Don't make a scene. Maya looked at him through the half-open door. You didn't make a joke, Rohan. You made a choice, he tried again. You're ruining my career, our marriage, she interrupted, voice steady. You ruined it the moment you forgot I was human. She closed the door quietly. The sound of the latch was final. Rohan's lawyer called. His family called. Even the same friends who laughed that night sent messages. Don't go to court. Handle it privately. Think about your image. Maya read them all and smiled bitterly. They cared about image, I care about truth. The case gained attention. A small media outlet picked it up as a story of a woman standing against humiliation. Soon others came forward with their own stories, wives, employees, even men who'd been belittled by power and silence. Maya had become a voice she never thought she had. At the first court hearing, Rohan appeared confident, dressed perfectly, pretending innocence. His lawyer painted Maya as emotional and overreacting. But when the judge pressed play, the courtroom filled with Rohan's own voice. His taunts, his laughter, his command for obedience. Every word echoed like thunder. When the audio stopped, silence reigned. The judge looked at Rohan coldly. You call this a joke? This is cruelty. Rohan's face drained of color. Maya didn't smile, but her eyes lifted slightly, not in triumph, but peace. Weeks later, the court granted her separation and ordered a public apology. She didn't attend that hearing. Instead, She stood on the same bridge she'd driven across that night, the wind softer now. She whispered to herself, "That night I thought I lost everything, but I found my voice." Her phone buzzed, a message from Ritu. "The case is over, you're free." Maya smiled through tears. "Free," she repeated. The word tasted new. She looked at the horizon. The sun was rising. The same sun that had once seen her tears now saw her rebirth. The courtroom battle was finished, but Maya's inner war had only begun. For the first time in years, she woke without fear, yet she felt a strange emptiness. When you've lived inside noise, criticism, control, constant judgment, silence can feel too quiet. She spent days walking through parks, breathing, rediscovering what peace sounded like. The rustle of leaves, the laughter of strangers, the hum of traffic that didn't scare her anymore. Each sound whispered one thing: you survived. One afternoon, she stopped at a community center. On a bulletin board, a small flyer read. Without thinking, she went inside. The room smelled of chai and marker ink. 10 women sat in a circle. Some wore expensive saris, some faded kurtas. All carried the same invisible weight. When it was Maya's turn to speak, she hesitated. Her voice shook at first. "My name is Maya. I used to think silence was strength, until silence almost destroyed me." The room grew still. By the time she finished, a few women were wiping tears. A coordinator approached her after the meeting. "Would you share your story at our next event?" Maya smiled softly. "I think I will." Weeks turned into months. Maya began volunteering at shelters, helping others document abuse cases and find legal aid. She wasn't a lawyer or counselor, but her empathy had power. When survivors looked into her eyes, they saw not pity, but understanding. She would tell them. Her speeches spread online. Journalists who once covered her case now invited her to panels about mental strength and dignity. For every cruel headline that had once shamed her, 100 messages now thanked her. Still, Maya remained humble. "This isn't about revenge," she said in one interview. "It's about reminding people, especially women, that their worth isn't defined by someone else's cruelty." One evening, as rain tapped against her window, Maya received a letter without a sender's name. Inside was a single line written in a familiar hand. She knew it was Rohan. She folded the letter carefully and placed it inside a drawer, not out of bitterness but closure. Forgiveness, she realized, wasn't for him. It was for her peace. She whispered, "I forgive you, but you no longer have power over me." The rain outside grew steadier, like applause from the universe itself. Months later, the same community center hosted a large event. The banner read, "Be the voice you needed." Maya stepped onto the stage. Hundreds sat before her, students, workers, mothers, even men who wanted to learn. She looked at them and remembered the frightened woman in the mirror months ago. "Life tested me," she began, her tone calm but strong. "It tried to break me by making me believe I was less. But strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply refuses to bow." Her voice grew steadier. "When I left that house, I thought I was running away. I realize now I was walking toward myself." Applause filled the hall. Some people stood. Others cried quietly. After the event, a young girl approached her. "Ma'am, my father yells at my mom a lot. She never speaks back. What should she do?" Maya knelt, meeting the girl's eyes. "Tell her she isn't alone. Tell her silence is heavy, but courage is lighter." The girl nodded, smiling faintly. Maya stood watching her leave, feeling both the weight and wonder of her new purpose. That night, as she drove home, the city lights blurred into gold streaks through the rain-washed glass. She whispered to herself. Her phone buzzed, a message from Ritu, the lawyer who had stood by her side. Maya smiled. "Yes," she typed, "it's time to help others rise." The morning sun painted gold across the city skyline as Maya stood in front of a tall glass building. Above the doors, bold letters read. A tear slipped down her cheek, not of pain, but of quiet pride. This was it, the place born from her suffering, her courage, her rebirth. A place where no woman would ever feel alone again. Inside, the hall buzzed with energy. Volunteers set up chairs and hung photographs, portraits of women and children who had fought through fear and found freedom. Media vans lined the street outside. Maya stood backstage, holding a small note in her trembling hands, her speech. She looked down at the words, but they blurred with tears. A familiar voice whispered beside her, You don't need the paper anymore." It was Ritu, her friend and lawyer. Maya smiled. "You're right. I'll speak from the heart." As she walked toward the podium, the crowd fell silent. Cameras flashed. Maya began softly. She paused, scanning the audience. "Pain is a strange teacher. It takes everything from you and then asks, 'What will you do now?'" I chose to rise. Applause echoed through the hall, but she continued with calm conviction. The crowd rose to their feet. Tears glistened in more than a few eyes. Later that evening, as the celebration quieted, Maya sat in her new office, a small space with warm lights and framed photos of smiling women. The door creaked open. To her surprise, an older woman stepped inside, Rohan's mother. Time had etched lines on her face, and guilt filled her eyes. "Maya," she said softly, "I came to say I was wrong." Maya's heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "Sit down, Auntie." The older woman sat, hands trembling. "I called you barren, cursed you, humiliated you. I didn't see your pain. I was blinded by pride and my son's lies." Silence hung between them. Finally, Maya said, "I forgave you long ago. Carrying anger only keeps us tied to the past." The old woman began to cry. "I wish I could undo what I did." Maya reached across the table, holding her hand. "You can't change yesterday," she said gently, "but you can change tomorrow. Help other mothers teach their sons respect." For the first time in years, peace filled the room. Two women, once enemies, sat together, not in hatred, but in healing. Months later, the foundation had grown. Maya's story spread worldwide. She was invited to speak at universities, global forums, even a UN conference on women's rights. When asked how she stayed strong, she always said, her speeches weren't about bitterness, they were about transformation. She built homes for survivors, scholarships for young girls, and counseling programs for families broken by silence. The Aradia Foundation became a symbol of light, a reminder that even in betrayal, there can be rebirth. One quiet night, Maya sat by her window, writing in her journal. She addressed the letter not to anyone else, but to her younger self. She closed the book, smiling through tears. Outside, the city slept peacefully, unaware that one woman's courage had changed countless lives. A few years later, a young reporter interviewed Maya for a documentary. "Mrs. Sharma," he asked, "if you could tell the world one lesson from your journey, what would it be?" Maya looked straight into the camera. Her voice was calm, steady, the voice of someone who had faced storms and learned to dance in the rain. The camera zoomed in as she smiled, serene, radiant, unbroken. Cut to the final shot. Maya walking out of the foundation's gates into the sunlight. Her shawl flutters behind her like wings. And on screen the words appear,